Why, hello, you amazing, beautiful people. How you doing? Welcome back to my another cut content reaction video. Alright, so this is for episode 9, which is pretty much the episode where I want to say everything went wrong, but everything's been going wrong for a while. Like, everything kind of went wrong in episode 8, and then episode 9 just continued the streak of everything going wrong. So the bullshit never ended. It started episode 8, and then just went straight over to episode 9. And I have no doubt in my mind it's going to continue on. And the ending is something I'm super curious about. The writing on his arm, that interaction with Millie or whatever her name is. Like that conversation as well. What it means, like she was having a conversation with Subaru. What that's about. How she fits into this. What happened to Subaru. Like part of me, like because I mentioned in my last reaction, I'm wondering if it's like greed related, but I don't know how that would be because there's no one else in that building. Like there's no way Shaola would let anyone in, so it has to be one of the group unless it's something from the book, you know, like, and if it's from the book, how could the book, like, so many questions. It's been done so well though. Like this mystery element is so intriguing. I love it, man. I love that everyone's coming up with their theories. Everyone's like, maybe it's this, and I love it. I love the theories around it all. Super cool. I don't really know what theory I'd sit on. I'm leaning towards like, I don't know. The other thing I was thinking about, before we even get into the reaction, is this is gonna be like spoilers if you haven't seen episode 9. I don't even know why you're watching this. But like the ending, Subaru opened all the doors, right? So what if that black smoke was like from the doors being opened? Because that was I didn't even address that in my reaction. It didn't even occur to me. Like, did he open the doors? Or did he get teleported just before he opened the doors? Because it looked like he opened every door, right? All 5 doors. And I think there's only 5 doors. I'm not 100% sure. But that made me wonder, if he opened all the doors, maybe like he unleashed the black smoke thing. Maybe that was what it was. And I wonder there. I'm not sure. And then did he do something? And I also was like, because like, you know, a certain blue-haired girl woke up. Was she part of his plan? Was he trying to wake her up? Was that part of his plan? Did she like wake up and then Shaola was like going on a rampage and she got in and it was just like torture? But she'd never kill Subaru, even though she said the hero thing, she never kill him unless like something was wrong with the memory here again. And then like, yeah, the black smoke thing is super interesting. There's loads. There's so many like things here. Is opening the doors important? What was the smoke? What was going on with our blue-haired sleepy girl? What happened with Shaola and who killed her? Like, what was the rampage? So much, man. My head's gonna explode. Anyway, shout out Annie News, like and subscribe, and let's go.
But the misanthropy is terminal once you stop being able to trust even yourself. These were Subaru's thoughts as he contemplates you stop being able to trust.
It's one thing not to trust other people, but the misanthrope, what the fuck? That is a word too big for me. Trust yourself. Okay, basically it's bad. Trust. Don't make sure you trust yourself.
Subaru's thoughts as he contemplated what to do next. His world crumbling under the intense pressure of a mystery murder plot, forgotten memories, and the constant loops ending in death.
All of you are literally, because I can't stand Amnesia arcs. I hate them. I really don't like them. I think they're just such a cop-out. And they're always thrown in when the character's like getting to a point of success and getting really strong, and then Amnesia. And it's like, I always find it just so bullshit. It just seems like a lazy writing tactic overall. However, every now and then they pull it off. And I was worried with this arc, and I have to say, this is one of the best I've ever seen pull it off. Like, I love this.
His last loop was one of the most intense.
Hell yeah, best girl.
But even with the anime portraying it as well as it did, there were a lot of interesting details left out that you're gonna want to know about. Like, here you might think Subaru got stopped at the 4th gate just like how he did before, but in actuality, this was the 5th. We also gotta talk about Subaru's transformation into the Aura Monster, so if you want to see how that all went down in the novel, here's everything that didn't make it into this episode. Episode 75.
The Aura Monster thing, I'm guessing, is more of a book
chapters
thing,
3 and
because
4
apparently the stairs were a little
of
bit
the light
different
novel.
in the anime.
Here we are, Subaru all broken and battered, the group filled with all sorts of emotions after finding out Subaru was this hollow version of who he used to be. Whether it was grief, disbelief, disgust, or something else, Subaru couldn't receive them, as to him, these people were nothing but strangers. All their concern and all their...
Imagine how weird that must be. Like going into a room full of strangers and all of them like having these like overwhelming kind of emotions towards you, but you don't know who they are.
That
must
was
feel incredibly
directed towards
intrusive,
the real
right?
Subaru, not whoever he was now. That was what Subaru felt was the worst, since not remembering anything about these people he could deal with, but to be on the receiving end of what could only be described
Shaula
as
said this wasn't the
uncomfortable
first
love,
time
that was the one thing Subaru couldn't handle.
this happened.
He
as
felt
well.
it unfair that the problems of Subaru were now.
So if this wasn't the first time it's happened, then if Subaru is the freaking sage, did the same thing happen to him in the past? The exact same thing. So the plan he come up with now, maybe that's the exact same plan he came up with in the past.
That would be the feeling which would spur Subaru to run away. A decision Patrash would try and prevent him from making. Though he couldn't understand why, Patrash was trying her best to get Subaru to stop. To Subaru, this was her just being annoying though. There was a clear loneliness in her eyes he wanted no part of. It was after that
That's
he
your
would
girl,
gather some
man.
food and water for himself, contemplating which of the seven.
I never noticed that the shadow behind him here.
It was after
looks like Betty's hair, just like kind of behind him weirdly.
that he would gather some food and water for himself, contemplating which of the 7 suspects was the one that killed him. Since he didn't know if any were even his comrades before he lost his memory, Subaru felt it was possible that all were assassins trying to kill him.
Very true, actually.
All he needed to
Very
do
true, I didn't
was
think about
convince
that.
himself Beatrice and Amelia's eyes.
From his perspective, any of them could be this like assassin, but from us, we know which ones would or wouldn't do.
were a lie, then that
Unless
was
they're
a story he
being
could force
brainwashed.
himself to believe. In the meantime, Subaru would fill himself with thoughts
Unless Rem woke up without her memories, but then she said hero, which she wouldn't have said if she did. I'm still kind of leaning like maybe someone's possessing some
justifying his
people.
actions, doing whatever he could to make this
Because why did
choice of his
Subaru black
easier to
out
swallow.
and lose that like portion of
Ultimately,
his
what
memory
it
as
all
well?
came down to was the simple fact he didn't want to die. So his plan was to leave and get to whatever human settlement he could find.
What if there is someone else in the building with them, and they're just deleting the memories of the interactions with them? That's something I've never thought of. Like, what if like this is someone in the building, and they're walking around the building and they keep going like, "Oh, hello," and then they go, "Blah, blah," and then wipe their memories. And what if that happened to Subaru? What if Subaru bumped into this other person and they wiped the memories? And every time someone stumbles across them, they just wipe the memories.
He was fully aware crossing a desert.
Man, there's
was
too many
dangerous, but
theories!
At the same time, doing something to try and live was better than hanging around somewhere he was guaranteed to die.
True.
So, one last feeling of guilt had pressured him to remain, but his lingering attachment to his old world pressured him more. As he was
True.
now,
So even like a day for
Subaru
him.
was confident he didn't want to be here. He needed to return home because his father and mother were waiting for him. Well, Subaru wouldn't get very far, as after his second step,
It's kind of interesting seeing the difference, right, in Subaru, because we've seen this Subaru is the same as the Subaru in episode 1, right? So this is episode 1 Subaru, and we've seen episode 1 Subaru. And I never thought, we're technically comparing the two. How Subaru in a different setting, so both Subarus get isekai'd, bling, and they're both in this world, but they're both in completely different places, in completely different situations, and how they adapt to that. And we're seeing like two different, like the exact same Subaru, but being like isekai'd in two different ways now. And it's interesting comparing the two of them.
be ambushed by a sandworm. Unlike how in the anime Subaru was tossed around by it though, in the novel Subaru would have far more of a face-off. For a second,
Oh?
you could actually call his actions fairly strategic, as Subaru would immediately come up with a plan and implement it. In order to live,
New
knew
Subaru?
he needed to get back inside, so that simply meant dodging the worm and making a run for it. Dodge he did, and with a movement that channeled the memories of his experience from the year he didn't remember, Subaru would avoid the sandworm easily. I couldn't tell you how much he actually saw of his past, but the novel does make it seem like those memories are still in there. Now,
For a split second, he felt like he could remember it. This is so weird, man. Did Subaru like shut them off on
all
purpose?
Subaru needed to do was run, but
'Cause they're
with
still
60
there.
feet separating him
And keep in mind, he had a blank flash. What is going on, man?
entrance,
I
the
can't wait to
sandworm's
find
tail
out.
would catch him like how we saw in the anime. The rest would be the same too, up until Subaru dropped into what he at first thought was hell. This was, after all, a world of fantasy, so it wouldn't be strange if a literal hell plane existed.
Yeah, I guess.
Eventually, the overwhelming darkness would fill Subaru's mind with fear, leading him to run as that was the only thing he could do. You see, where in the anime Subaru had a lantern, in the novel, he had nothing. He was forced to traverse the underground with no vision whatsoever.
I imagine they did that
It was
for
after
viewers'
several
benefit.
hours he had finally made his way to the gates, his will nearly broken multiple times before that. I mean, he was after all walking in absolute darkness, so
The
after
miasma must be
slipping down
taking him over at this
sandhills,
point
running
as
into
well.
walls, and getting sand dumped on him by tremors, Subaru was almost starting to believe that this was hell. The only reason he decided to keep running regardless is because he was too frightened by the thought of what would happen if he stopped. He was so desperate to get away up until he came across this stench, a putrid smell that acted as a thread for Subaru to grasp onto. With this thread leading him to one gate after another, Subaru would find the more
That's
gates he
interesting.
opened, the stronger the smell got. It was that smell which would guide him where to go, since still
Do you think this is the same smell that everyone keeps talking about? The smell that's all over Subaru, that witch's scent? And this is like so strong that Subaru himself can smell it? The same one that everyone keeps talking about?
Subaru couldn't
Maybe?
see anything.
Because we know
The
who's
breeze
behind
he
these doors,
felt and
right?
The stench he followed.
Although, is that confirmed? My guess has always been behind all the doors is going to be where the witch is buried. But maybe it isn't. Maybe it's like a monster. They could be a monster. Because I'm still like wondering what that black smoke was. And I didn't even think about like the opening of the door could like maybe have unleashed it. My whole guess this entire time has been behind the doors is where the body is. That's what I've been thinking. And the stench is making me think that even more. Unless the monster's like guarding it. That would make sense. You'd think there'd be some kind of like guard, right? They wouldn't just open the door and it's there. Maybe it's like a trap that Subaru triggered.
Were the only guiding factors Subaru could use to navigate here. Finally, Subaru would make it to a gate that wouldn't open, but unlike how last time he got stuck on the fourth, this right here was the fifth. It's an interesting detail I'm surprised they decided not to share in the anime. I
think
couldn't
they
tell
forgot,
you what
to be
exactly
honest.
changed which allowed Subaru to progress one gate further, but what I can't tell you is his traversal deeper just meant the miasma was going to affect him more. So, as a fierce rage overwhelmed him in this unfair situation, Subaru was ready to bludgeon the god who put him here. Some inexplicable feeling made him know these gates were made just for him, so that just made him more mad when it wouldn't open for him. He was frustrated and confused over the fact what lay beyond the gate was the truth of his role in this world. His inner thoughts would question the blockade over and over again, finally culminating with this. It's the first time we've ever seen a word censored like this, so perhaps this version of Subaru is remembering something related to his true purpose. Whatever the truth may be, it's immediately after that Subaru would be teleported. As much as how it happened didn't make sense, Subaru's reality was demanding he accept it. It was as—
He didn't open the gate. He didn't then. I thought he did. This whole time, I thought he did. He didn't. He got teleported. I swear, guys, what the fuck is going on? There's so much. Like, can you imagine trying to, like, unpack this and, like, writing it all down, just looking at it all. It's like, what am I looking at, man? It's like that meme from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's like, now, so he didn't open the gate, so he didn't unleash shit, and he got teleported. Bro, and why can't he open the gate if they're made
if
for him?
it was getting payback for him trying to
Motherfucker.
run away. That's when Subaru would see the situation as hopeless,
Who teleported
finally
him?
accepting that if he didn't want to die, he simply needed to kill his killer first. That was, after all, the reason.
Freaky when you think he was going to strangle
If he
Amelia
could
when he
just
woke
find
up.
and kill them before
But then
they
the
kill
rage
him,
vanished. But
everything,
obviously,
at least
mentally,
to
it
him,
would still
would
be there
then
for
be
him.
solved. He did have the advantage of knowing someone was coming for him too, so if he could just leverage that information, Subaru felt he could do it. So, with an ominous curse constantly being repeated, Subaru's thirst for vengeance would turn him into some kind of aura monster. He truly felt his body get stronger every time he said it. This was a Subaru completely filled with toxic miasma, ready to kill all in the name of protecting himself. That in turn led to the decision of killing the first person he saw, a choice he fortunately wouldn't have to follow through with. Unfortunately for him though, what he—
I love how he just broke down immediately. Like, he's like walking upstairs like, I'm gonna kill everybody. I'm gonna kill them all. I'm the guy, man. I'm gonna kill him. Dead body? Ah! Like, straight away. Like,
Brilliant
just broke.
instead was his first exposure to death. You see, never in his life had Subaru ever seen a dead body before.
True,
not
actually, good
even
point.
at a funeral. So, with Shala's
Although
cold
he'd
body
seen
being
himself,
the first corpse
kind of.
he'd ever seen, the shock was so staggering the impact burned itself right into Subaru's soul. It had made him puke all over the dead body right in front of him. Still, Subaru was a man with a mission, so with absolute solitude being what he was striving for, Subaru would contemplate how he was gonna kill the other 6 suspects. He had even thought about how he was gonna get rid of Raid after them.
Sure,
So,
bro.
as Subaru honed the power his
you
repeated
definitely
curse
could.
granted him, Subaru was even more prepared to kill than before.
So he's saying he's got more. What the fuck is this then? The aura monster? Every time he says kill, he gets like a bigger boner?
More bodies were found instead, though. Finally,
Combat
he
boner.
started wondering what worth did all this resolve have. Now, an interesting thing to note about Meili's corpse is that
It's so classically freaking ReZero that Subaru's like got all this resolve and it just means nothing. It's like everyone's already
her
dead.
death was the cleanest out of anyone's. Julius had clearly attempted to shield her, but even after that, she was only slashed once. It was a stark contrast when compared to the brutal states everyone else was left in. What's even more interesting is that where everyone's faces were putting on one type of pained expression or the other, Meili's face was almost tranquil. Their bodies were also covered with white cloths too, so whoever was here before Subaru put in the effort to mourn them. That, however, just added to the confusion, so now Subaru would try to investigate a bit. With the blood having dried, Subaru guessed their deaths could have occurred at least a dozen hours ago. He wasn't sure how long he'd spent underneath the tower, but clearly it was longer than he thought.
Must have been Shaola
Subaru would then move on to the green room, hoping to find Amelia.
So we've got things at play here, right? We've got Rem waking up. We've got Shaola going on a rampage. And we've got the black smoke, and then everyone else, right? Presumably speaking, none of them would have been affected by the miasma. None of them would have gone crazy. Shaola would have been an enemy. So Shaola's an enemy. Everyone else could have been fighting Shaola. But then there's the 2 caveats here. Let's say Shaola killed everybody. It's possible. Who killed Shaola? And Amelia and Betty, what would have happened to them? Betty might have vanished, but Amelia? Like, we don't know. Unless Amelia didn't die. Amelia is strong. So, you can, out of all of them, I would argue Amelia's the strongest currently. So she would probably put up the best fight, but it doesn't look like Amelia had a fight. If Amelia had a fight, there'd be remnants around, right? It would be something obvious. We've seen it before. Like, when Amelia fights, you can kind of see that. So then we've got all these different things at play. It's like, because did Rem wake up and then Rem was fighting? Or is this all Shaola versus the team? And then if so, that black smoke, when did that arrive and how involved was that? And or is that someone's ability
And Beatrice's
that I'm
corpse
forgetting
is
or
next.
something?
If he did, then his mind could finally be put at ease as the killer would no longer be around him. There he would only find Patrash though, bringing us to one of the most tough to watch scenes in a while.
Yeah.
For Subaru, he had initially found wounding a living creature exhilarating, but after seeing no reaction, that thrill turned into frustration. Now Subaru could only yell and scream as every confusing emotion he felt came bubbling up to the surface. It was after that's when Subaru would be attacked, the novel making it seem like it was Satella doing so. Because the fog resembled the veil of shade Subaru had seen earlier, he could only assume this was the same person attacking him now. And with the way the fog seemed so hell-bent on getting to him, Subaru instinctively knew getting consumed by it would lead to a fate far more terrifying than death. If the
Unless it wasn't death. Could it have been Satella? Did she get out? Maybe he did open the gate, but then he got teleported away? Couldn't have been her. But we don't even know if she's behind that gate. But then what could have happened that would have woken her up? She's like imprisoned, right? Unless it's like her residual energy, because we know she has a connection to Subaru, or it isn't her. It might just not be her. I did wonder, but I thought maybe it'd be a different witch. Fuck it, it's too much, man. My tiny brain.
Heartfelt was anything to go off of. To Subaru, this fog was probably on a whole nother level. For a moment, Subaru actually considered throwing away his life instead, but with the certainty of return by death not being 100%, Subaru couldn't commit himself to do it. Plus, he didn't really want to die to begin with. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong, so why was it then that he had to die?
You did stab
These
Parachute,
were the
bro.
thoughts Subaru wept over as Patrash ran for their lives, this dragon the only one answering his plea to be saved. So, where before Patrash's eyes only showed him a deep loneliness, now they shone with powerful resolve. It was clear all she wanted to do was save Subaru.
Oh,
And
she's
with the
so
fog
amazing.
damaging anything it touched, Patrash had even gone the extra mile to ensure Subaru didn't get touched by any of it. She would actively sacrifice her own body in order to make sure the
She
shadow
really
didn't
is
reach
best girl,
Subaru.
man.
That's why Subaru had come out relatively unscathed, now at the balcony he previously met Aridina at. If there was one thing that didn't seem like it belonged, it would be the single white bird that just landed on the railing in front of him. Then came the realization he was gonna die, followed by the feeling someone was behind him. The novel doesn't say who, but their line of "try to catch me next time" does make it seem like they're aware of return by death.
Try to catch me next time? Someone who's aware? Holy shit. The fuck?
With that bringing an end to loop number 3, loop number 4 would begin with Subaru showing gratitude to the one being who hadn't hurt him. There was a bit more back and forth with
Must be the
Beatrice
smoke
expressing her
then, right?
jealousy, but with that
Soap.
not being entirely important, what was the plan Subaru devised to try a route that he hadn't tried yet. This time he would test the others, observing how they interacted with him if they assumed he was still the same. It would definitely be tough considering how he didn't know the intricacies of everyone's relationship with him,
Which is
but
what he's
so long
testing.
as he was just himself, Subaru believed he could get by. Amelia's closeness with him was a recurring point of confusion since in addition to knowing Subaru better than most, Amelia also said nothing about the fact Subaru almost strangled her. In the novel, Subaru didn't stop as he fully had his hands on her neck before Beatrice finally said something. Still, Amelia didn't even blink, as to her, such
I love that Amelia... I love and hate it. That Amelia is literally just like... You know, just so sweet on Subaru that she just like looks after him. It's not... I don't even know if it's a romance thing. I'm not sure. At the moment, it just feels like... You know what their relationship reminds me of? And this is the only way I can think to compare it. You know how in like Hollywood movies you have like the young kids? They might be like in their young teens. And they love each other, but they're like friends. They always hang out. Like you have like a girl and boy in an old movie. And they're always hanging out. And maybe they'll like go to different colleges. And it's like childhood friends and that sort of stuff. That's kind of the same energy Amelia and Subaru give off. And that's the only thing I can think to compare it to. Because it's a very unique relationship they have.
action meant nothing. So, because of this, Subaru could only assume Amelia was privileged, sheltered, or both, or perhaps she was just really good at hiding her ulterior motives. Either way, her lack of boundaries was extremely peculiar to Subaru. Next, Subaru would have his one-on-one with Julius, all because he assumed whatever happened between them last night was the root cause of how his memories were lost. Subaru just assumed Julius was in the archive when it happened, so this was him trying to find out more. He would make vague statements aligning his story with Julius's, not knowing he was hurting Julius far more than he could even imagine. For Julius, who was still coming to terms with everything, this was Subaru attempting to resolve his own problems before even considering Julius's. It's the reason he would call Subaru selfish. The rest of the conversation would go as we saw, basically confirming for Subaru Julius had nothing to do with his memories.
Was
The
Shala
grief
there?
in his eyes were genuine
Or was
enough
that
to show
anime only?
Julius was dealing with his own problems. At the very least, now Subaru knew of some secret with Aridina, some shady dealings.
Because we haven't heard like haven't heard anything about Shala. Was she there in the novel?
Subaru could only be suspicious of old Subaru for. Again, that one question just kept coming up. The question of what was Subaru Natsuki thinking?
That's what we're all bloody
So,
thinking.
with
What the hell
Subaru
was
no
he thinking?
closer to finding out how he
What was
lost
his
his
fucking
memories,
plan?
he would be
It's weird how Annie News isn't mentioning Rem. Unless it wasn't Rem? It fucking looked like Rem though.
contemplating his next move when Meili showed up. She would have a request, one pertaining to their discussion from back in the library.
Maybe he's staying
If
away
you
from it
remember
because
from episode
spoilers.
4, there were two things that the two had talked about here. The first was Subaru offering to look for her parents' books should she want to see them, and the second was how those books appeared when someone died. Meili could honestly be referring to either, so either she wants Subaru to help in looking for her parents' books, or she's offering to kill someone in order to see how those books originate. Unfortunately, we don't get to know though, as in these few frames here, Meili would be killed. That's probably a good point to end it, since this is probably the starting point for a whole nother loop of suffering. So, I hope you enjoyed learning more about this episode, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe.
Huge shout out Annie News, man. Huge shout out Annie News. Literally, they do such an excellent job on these videos. They let people react to them, and they make these incredible videos, and they're awesome. They deserve so many more subscribers than they have, man. They're incredible. Yeah, I mean, you can imagine the next episode is going to be the start of another pain loop, which would imply that something is going to kill Subaru. Could it be the thing that he said, try and catch me next time? It looks like it's nighttime as well. What killed Millie? Was it him? And what was the Natsuki Subaru was here? The thing is, I don't see old Subaru waking up, taking control of new Subaru's body, and be like, oh, I'm back. All right, Natsuki Subaru was here, die, Millie, and new Subaru takes over. So, I can't see that, which means there has to be something else. Why would Subaru kill Millie? Subaru would never do that. That's not something he would do. And then writing on his arm that he was here just seems odd as well. Which makes me wonder if there's something else at play. First, we have the time jump. Like, he, blinks, wakes up, time skipped, right? So what happened in that window? That's the first thing. Like, that's question number one. What happened in that window? What was the point in the time jump? And next, we have the actions in that time jump. We have the scratch, we've got the Millie dying. So something had to take over Subaru in that time. And then did Subaru do that, or did someone else do that? Did Millie do that? And I assumed that when Millie asked that question, like, were you serious about last night? It wasn't to do with the library. I thought that was something that Subaru had spoken to Millie about before his memory getting wiped. And that's kind of what it led to. So I don't know if Annie News is wrong here, or I'm wrong. But I find it odd that Millie... I might be saying Millie's name wrong. I do apologize. People will correct me on it loads, but whatever. You know who I'm talking about. That's all that matters. I thought that... like, the anime kind of lined it up like it was something that he'd forgotten. Like, it was to do with the memory loss. Because if it is just her going like, oh, did you really mean it that you would help me find these books? It seems weird that she'd, like, go close to his ear and be like, hey, did you really? Like, it just seems odd. The whole action seems weird. And then the time jump and her dying? Unless... that's... like... unless Millie... unless Subaru did something, memories wiped, blah, 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 and he's back here, right? Then Millie was like, did you really mean that? Sure. And she's like, well, come and help me then. They go back to the library. Subaru goes back to the library. Same thing happens again. And blah, 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 blah. Millie's dead. Memories wiped. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they both did the same thing without knowing it twice. That's the only thing I can think of for now. Otherwise, because like I can't see old Subaru taking over and killing her. But if there's a time jump, there has to be a reason for that. New Subaru wouldn't have killed either because he's not in that frame of mind. Which means either A, someone else inhabited his body. B, Millie did something that like either results in Subaru having to have self-defense, or she somehow killed herself. Or C, the same thing happened and it's a memory wipe situation. And they just accidentally did whatever Subaru did the first time. I love this season so much. I don't think in my entire life I've ever watched an anime that's made me think as much as this season of ReZero has. And I love it. I love it. I love just coming up with 100 theories and not knowing which ones or anything. I love it. I haven't had this much fun theorizing ever watching an anime. I've never watched one that's been so full of mystery and so well written mystery. Like, it's not obvious, is it? It's not like, oh, clearly this has happened. Like, I don't know. And I read the comments, everyone's got different theories. Feel like this. Even Annie News got their own theory. I love it. I love it. I love that the whole ReZero community. You've got the source material bros who are like, just you wait and see, ladies and gentlemen. You wait and see, boys. You wait and see. Then you got all the anime onies like, the fuck is going on? Love it. Anyway, can't wait to keep watching. I hope you guys are enjoying these reactions. Like and subscribe. Let's get to 100K. Have an awesome day. As always, my friends, you will see me in the next video.